move on to the next section. And it shouldn't be that bad. If you guys will notice, you see the words sum and difference, product and quotient. Sum is adding, difference subtract, product multiply, quotient divide. So these are things that you're kind of familiar with. And it shouldn't be too difficult today. So I'm going to start with the first example. I'm going to give you two functions. Let's say f of x is 3x plus 4. G of x is x squared minus 5x plus 2. Okay? In the instructions, it will say find f plus g. So that's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to go add these functions. And again, you can only combine the things that are alike. So I'm going to start out with the x squared because it's the highest exponent. And then I'm going to look at these x's and I'm going to combine like terms and I'm going to get minus 2x. And then I'm going to look at those constants and I get plus 6. So that's not too bad there. If it said g plus f, if it was flipped, remember order doesn't matter when you add. And so those would end up being exactly the same. Now, if it says f minus g, now you have to be careful. So you're taking f, which is 3x plus 4, and you are subtracting everything that's g of x. So that needs to go in parentheses, and we needed to distribute that negative. So you end up with 3x plus 4 minus x squared plus 5x minus 2. And then I can go combine like terms. So I'm left with negative x squared, and then I'm going to combine the 3x and the 5x, and now I have 8x, and then 4 minus 2 would be positive 2. So again, on that subtraction, you would have to distribute that negative. So if it said g minus f, then now I'm going to start with g, the x squared minus 5x plus 2, minus f, which is 3x plus 4. Then I would distribute that minus sign. So minus 3x minus 4. And then your final answer would be x squared minus 8x minus 2. Okay? So again, that subtraction, you have to be very careful. It shouldn't be too difficult. Now, product and quotient. Let's say I give you f of x equals x minus 7. G of x equals 2x squared minus 13x minus 7. Okay? Now I want to find, you could see FG, you could see GF, you could see F times G like that, or G times F, okay? Because remember, order does not matter when we multiply. But when we multiply these, you guys would have to do a 2 by 3 box. So hopefully by now you're familiar with that. So I would do my 2 by 3 box. I've got an x minus 7, 2x squared minus 13x minus 7. So let's see here. I'm just going to go through this pretty quick. Let's see, so that would be negative 14x squared. That would be 191, I believe. X, and then 49. Okay, so your final answer from those boxes, you get your 2x cubed in the first box. Combine that like term, you get minus 27x squared. Then you're going to combine your 91 minus 7, and you get 84x plus 49. Okay, so there's your final answer with that. And again, you're just boxing. You guys know how to box by now. Now, on the division, order is a little bit different. Okay, you can't, order matters on the dividing. So if it gives you f over g, then f is going to go on top, g goes on bottom, and you've done these before. So from here, I would go factor. So the top's going to stay x minus 7. If you reverse box the bottom, you get 2x plus 1 and x minus 7. Okay, so we know those cancel, and I've got 1 over 2x plus 1. And so remember, just a refresher, that bottom can't equal 0. So if I set that equal to 0, x cannot be negative 1/2. Okay, so there's your quotient, there's your domain, or the restrictions on the domain. Okay, also, if I have, be careful, because right here, x can't also be 7, so we almost missed that, or I almost missed that, so be careful there also. Let's do one more. If I were to flip that and have g over f, now my 2x squared minus 13x minus 7 goes on top, x minus 7 on bottom. Remember that was 2x plus 1, and x minus 7. I have no idea what just happened here. My computer is spazzing, obviously. All right, there we go. Are you kidding me? I quit. I quit. Okay, let's go slow. All right, so here we go. On the bottom, I have another x minus 7. So it's the exact same that we had earlier, it's just flipped. So your final answer here would be 2x plus 1. This time, your restrictions, we only have the x minus 7 on bottom, so x cannot equal 7 would be your domain or your restrictions. Okay, moving on. It says the demand D in units sold for a company's new brand of cell phone at price X in dollars is D of X equals 5,000 minus 10X. The cost to manufacture the cell phone is C of X equals 2,200 plus 80X. What is the company's expected profit from the cell phone? There's a typo there. Cell phone sales in terms of the price X. Okay, so in all of these words, I can see that they gave me the demand. Okay, that's D. They gave me the demand. They give me the cost to manufacture a cell phone. And it tells me right here, price is X in dollars. So X is my price in dollars. And it wants the profit. It says, what is the company's expected profit? So I need to find profit right here. So it told me up here, the price is X. And then this just means times the demand. The demand was 5,000 minus 10x. And then it says minus the cost. And remember, the cost is right here. So the cost is 2,200 plus 80x. So now I just need to simplify this, and I have my profit. Okay, so I'm going to start by distributing my x. So I'm going to have 5,000x minus 10x squared. That's just from distributing the x. Now here I'm going to pass out this minus, so minus 2,200 minus 80x. And then my last step, I'm just going to combine like terms. So I'm left with negative 10x squared if I start with that first. 5,000x minus 80x would be plus 4,920x, and then minus my 2,200. So minus my 2,200. Okay, and that would be your final profit. All right, last word problem, and we're almost done. It says, suppose demand D for the company's product at cost X is predicted by the function d of x equals negative 0.25, that's x squared, plus 1,000, and the price P that the company can charge for a product is given by P of x equals x plus 16. Find the company's revenue. Okay, so we want to find revenue. Revenue is the demand times the price. And they give me both of those. They give me the demand and the price. So all I need to do is multiply those. So I've got negative 0.25 x squared plus 1,000. And then times my price, which is x plus 16. So again, I just need to go box those. And when you box those, I'm not going to spend the time doing that, you get revenue equals negative 0.25 x cubed minus 4x squared plus 1,000x plus 1,600 or 16,000 it would be. Okay, and again, this just came from if I were to do a 2x2 box. Okay, so I have faith that you guys can do a 2x2 box. All right, next page. The last thing we're going to look at is what we call a composite function. Okay, a composite function is when you multiply or you plug in one thing after another. Okay, so I'm going to start out with f of x equals x squared, g of x equals x plus 1. So an example of a composite function would look like this. And here's how I say this. I say f of g of 0. So I'm going to start right here on the inside, and I am going to plug 0 into my equation right here for x. So if I plug in 0 here, 0 plus 1 is 1, so that I'm left with 1. And now I'm going to plug 1 into the f of x, so 1 squared would be 1. Okay, so let's look at another one. I want to find f of g of 3. F of g of 3. So I'm going to start right here and make sure you're showing me your steps. I'm going to plug 3 in for x right here in g of x. I want g of 3. So if I plug 3 in, I'm going to get 4. So now I'm going to plug 4 into f of x. So I need 4 squared, which is 16. Okay? If I have g of f of negative 2, again, I'm going to start right here. So now I need to go to f of x and plug in negative 2. So if I go plug in negative 2 right here, negative 2 squared would be positive 4. Now I'm going to go plug in 4 into the g of x equation, and 4 plus 1 equals 5. So there's my answer for that. Okay, now what if I want f of g of x? So now you're not plugging anything in, it's already x. So there's already an x in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this, and g of x is x plus 1. So I'm going to plug x plus 1 in right here in f of x. So I'm going to have x plus 1 squared. And then if you were to do a 2x2 box here, your final answer would be x squared plus 2x plus 1. Okay? And that's an example of a composite function. You're literally plugging one function into the other function. Okay? Let's kind of keep going with this example. Let's flip it and say g of f of x. Okay, so f of x is x squared. So I'm going to take x squared and I'm going to plug it in right here in g of x. So instead of x, I'm going to plug in x squared plus 1, and there's nothing I can do right there, so that's as far as I'm going to go. So let's look at one more example, just to make sure we get the hang of it. Let's say f of x is 2x minus 1. Let's say g of x is 3x. Okay, so let's go find f of g of 2. Okay, f of g of 2. So I need to go find g of 2 first. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to plug in 2, and 3 times 2 is 6. So now I'm going to go plug 6 in right here. So instead of x, I'm plugging in 6, and I'm going to subtract 1. So this would be 12 minus 1, which is 11. Let's say I have g of f of negative 2. G of f of negative 2. So I'm going to go to f of x, and I'm going to plug in negative 2 right here. So that would be 2 times negative 2 minus 1. So negative 4 minus 1, so that would be negative 5. So now I'm going to go plug negative 5 in for g. So I would have 3 times negative 5, and my final answer would be negative 15. Okay. Let's do some like we did up here now. If I want f of g of x, whoops. Okay, so that means f of x, or g of x, is 3x. That means I'm going to rewrite this function, and I'm going to plug in 3x for their variable, for their x. And then I'm going to multiply and get 6x minus 1. And that is as far as you could go. You cannot combine those, okay? Last one. Let's say I have g of f of x, okay? And again, these are called composite functions. So now I'm going to start with f of x, which is 2x minus 1. And I'm going to plug that in right here for x. So I'm going to keep my 3, and I'm plugging in 2x minus 1. And then the only thing I can really do here is distribute and get 6x minus 3. Okay, so that is as far as you can go. If you have any questions, just please email me.